Okay, back for part two, punters. Question time now. We've got a number of them here, and just want to make sure that you understand that you can put these on Twitter at the Punters Academy, which is, I think, at TP.
I've got no idea.
Even at or ratings to win.
Not hard to find if you
search
for ratings to win or the Punters. You'll find it there. It'll be on both our feeds. You'll find it there somewhere.
Or you can email them to me. Either way. So
what's your email?
It's paul@thepuntersacademy.com.au. So it doesn't matter how they get here, as long as we get them.
Too easy.
And if you can, sort of email them, preferably by no later than, say, a Sunday.
Yep.
That gives us a chance to get organised for the Monday show. So the first one here is from Ronnie on Twitter, and he said, Paul, can you help me learn how to correctly read and interpret, or learn how to create speed maps, and how to gauge when a horse is in form to run a big race today? Well, this is a pretty wide question.
To me, that's like the secret to the whole of racing. If you can do that, you can throw in a bit of how the track's going to race, like a whatever you want to call that, like how the bias you expect it to be of a track, or what positions you expect to be the most advantageous. You've got the key to racing.
Look, the map's a huge part. Look, a couple of things about maps. First of all, our Access database has an automated map for every race in Australia and Hong Kong. And look, it's not bad. It's I don't tinker with it too much.
I'm pretty sick on maps, and I hate looking at other people's maps, but I do use it, and I'm definitely not paid to say this. I definitely do use the Access maps as at least a first reference. I'm really scared of most people in racing tend to overplay horses going sort of, say, a horse that's raced over 1800 metres and they're first up at 1,000 or 1,100, they show pace over 1,800. A lot of people's maps still show this horse going to be predominant in a shorter race, and for whatever reason, yours definitely doesn't do that, which I tend to check. There's a few things I do check in a lot of people's maps, and they're really pretty solid straight off the bat. So I
as a starting point, they're a great thing.
Yes.
Look, obviously, there's certain things that maps can't pick up, Ronnie, and that is, if a horse is, say, snagged back from wide gates. That's not going to show in the early data in terms of its speed. And
at previous runs you're talking about. So lightly raced horses are definitely harder to map, especially for an automated system.
And look, I mean, other than that, I mean, it's having access to the right data. You can't create an accurate speed map, I believe, just purely off position in run. Which is what we've just talked about. Just because a horse leads or has won 3 or 4 races or led in 3 or 4 races.
The conditions of the day are definitely far more, they have a big play in how a real map eventuates than what they've done at their previous starts. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I mean, they could have been walking races.
Or you could have it could be going from a Warwick Farm race with there's 800 metres to the first turn. Now they've got 200 metres to the first. There's different reasons.
Track configuration is important. So, look, my suggestion is if you can afford to, obviously get yourself some paid maps, or try to do them yourself. But you'll need more than just historical positions in run to do it properly. There is an art to it, and there's a fair bit to think about in terms of track configuration and where the barriers are going to be. How long is the run to the first turn, etc., etc. Where's the speed drawn, inside or out? All those sort of things that you need to consider.
There's a few keys to me, which are like the horse that's if it's a 50-50 chance from a sort of wider draw to go forward or back. You kind of look at a jockey is important. Are they prone to be an aggressive or passive rider? So there's little things that you're going to pick up in your areas that are going to help you to have a bit of an edge over everyone else, because it's hard to factor everything into. And a lot of people do use automated to a certain degree, maps and things like that. So there's a definite edge to becoming really intricate with your speed maps, but there's a lot of little keys.
Well, you've got to know what you're going to achieve from that. So if you're going to spend 20 minutes, half an hour doing a detailed map, or taking a pre-existing map and then sort of tailoring it to specifics, then you really need to understand where that edge is going to.
Well, the funny thing is, though, that I like the way I look at it, how many people are spending extra time on maps as opposed to form. So a lot of people come up with the same horses, but is there more upside in spending more time on trying to decipher the form and find a small edge that way, or is it the maps are probably a bigger edge that less people are spending time on? So it's a funny game now, and to me, I think maps are so important and still underplayed, and they're harder to do than trying to find a winner. To me, like that if everything was in a bubble and they all sat where they should, this horse should win. That's not that hard, but actually trying to work it all out and where they're going to be, to me, is a bigger edge than most.
So what do you think about the New South Wales stewards maps that they put out?
Well, touchy subject for me, only because I don't want to be critical of them, but I think they're just a bit they're a bit too black and white on how they say like Lee's a champion bloke who does them, and no one's going to be right all the time. It's like the poor best bets guy, like who's got to have that form ready by Wednesday at 12 o'clock or whatever he's got to do. You know, he's at a big disadvantage. Lee's got to send him out a lot earlier than most people, and he's got to have an opinion that is now at the mercy of everyone. That's got more time, probably more information at certain times and things. So, you know, I think they're probably a little bit too harsh on people who ride their horses or whatever against the map, saying this is the be all and end all. But it's a good tool. I think that's just how it has to be left, and I think it's fair enough if they came out and said, listen, every participant in racing has to consult this, and because of these change of tactics laws and everything, if you're hugely against where we think you're going to be, just come and say something to us quickly, and that's kind of it, because that's the level of transparency they're demanding now, Racing New South Wales. And you know, it kind of suits me as a punter. I don't think, as an owner, I don't want to give them that information. No way in the world. No. But if they're the same with everyone and they're going to police everyone who goes against it and doesn't come in, fair enough. I've got no issue with it. I think it's just a very hard job for Lee, and he cops a lot of criticism when he say, oh, this horse might be there, and a lot of people are like, well, he's an idiot. It's very easy to say that, you know what I mean?
We can all make mistakes.
Yeah, and like it's the same with I've done it 1,000 times, where you go, well, how did the guy from the tab come up with this price for this horse? I don't want to be the guy putting that price up. I'm much better off sitting in my pajamas at home waiting for him to do it. Yeah. That's right. So I'm happy. It's easy to pick holes in that sort of position. But I don't think they're bad. I think they're very good too. If you're going to use go and source a map, there's not going to be much better available for free.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
You know,
so if you're looking at betting on New South Wales racing, you can get those maps for no cost before the races, obviously.
And often, as you say, like if they're incorrect, a stable will put in a change of tactic. So you know what I mean? Like they're going to be correct a lot more than often, and then you're going to find out if they're not before the race. So they're a good starting point at the absolute worst, and it's very, very good tool. The Racing New South Wales Stewards Twitter handle with their change of tactics.
You've got to have access to those these days, and in fact, I've just constructed a list on Twitter, which is all of the
stewards for the different
PRAs,
areas. Yeah,
exactly.
I don't keep an eye on the others, but Racing New South Wales are great. Like horses that are overweight and things like that. There's plenty of things that they put on there that you will miss if you're not tapped into their Twitter feed. Even gear changes, late gear changes. There's a
late
heap
gear
of stuff
changes, on there. Which is obviously a problem for the industry. But also just things like horses that
jockey change
travelled well.
Like exactly, horses travel well. Jockeys missing out. There's a lot of stuff you can miss very easily if you're not. Well, it's free. It's easy.
Indeed. So that's the map part of your question. The other part, which is when the horse is in form, ready to run a big race. Well, for me, look, I'm a ratings person, so the numbers tell me, where I think the horse is at.
Yeah, whereas I'm the opposite, which is great. But to me, so if someone said, do you find a winner, and I've never seen the horses before, number one, I'm going to look at the track, trying to work out where I want the horse to be. Then I'm going to do the map on the race, try and work out where the horses will be. And then I try and find the horse in the best position that's best set up to run well that day. And that's kind of it to me. So where do they need to be? Where are they going to be? Who's the horse in the best position with the best setup to win? Yep. And that's it. That's racing. So
there's two polarising ways.
There are. I mean,
and there's others.
There is, and so your numbers will tell you, but they'll tell you off. They'll give you a number for a reason, kind of thing. So you can interrogate its form. From a natural perspective,
there's still some collateral inspection required.
Yeah, there's a reason why you think it's going to run well that day, and it will be a pattern to that. So you can do it manually as well. And then, like whether it's horses, it's usually a fitness base. Is it fit enough and strong enough to run well at that distance on that day, considering the run it's going to have? So like if it's going to be a fast run race, fitness is more paramount. It's going to be a slow run race, turn of foot, stuff like that. Sure. But there's not an exact answer to it.
No,
he's on the right track for me to that is the secret to racing. There's only three really. That's it. There's no there's no wonder drug to give you the answers. Obviously, something like your system incorporates a lot of that into the answer that you give people, and then they can work on from that, which is, yours and others that are available in similar fashion. But that's the keys to the castle. You just got to unlock it and work on it.
Sure, indeed. Okay, next one's from Alan on Twitter. He just said he's looking forward to the weekly show. Something you might be able to discuss is some of the factors that you take into consideration when assessing how the market may move and getting the best price. So we'll cover that part of the question first. He finds himself regularly on the wrong side of it.
Yeah.
And whilst he appreciates it happens to everyone, he wants to improve that area of his game. Look, for me, I produce a set of markets. I try and get my markets earlier these days, and so I'm ready for these early markets.
Yep.
And I'm just looking for the mistake. I'm not trying to suggest that if I mark something evens and they put up $4 that I'm right,
or it's going to start evens.
Price.
Yes.
All I'm saying is that I know that even money may not be the right price, but I know that $4 is not the right price.
Yeah, you've got to be really wrong to be wrong.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm looking to take advantage of that. Now, as far as looking for factors that are going to help the ordinary person look at that better, I suppose it's understanding the factors that the computer teams, which dominate the marketplace, what are the things that they look for? The positive jockey, the positive map, obviously the horses that are rated well, horses that are in form, good jockeys, good trainers, all those sorts of things. There are certain things that they hone in on.
Yes.
More than others.
Yes, and I went to this Betfair thing, learning about automated software to use on Betfair, and a couple of their key indicators, they sort of said you can set up things that where it shows that horses, because obviously the big teams use bots on the exchanges, and it'll show basically where, even early in the day, which I didn't even believe there was liquidity to bother, but apparently there are bots sitting there basically, especially at metropolitan meetings, I'm assuming is what they're working on, showing what horses they're happy to just to continually lay and chip away at early in the markets, you know what I mean? So they're the horses that are most likely to blow. There's so many ways to try and work it. I've got no clue, but I do know one thing, and that's that these big teams are the whole deciding factor over where a price starts.
Yeah.
And it's so volatile. It's like you're seeing like your horses like Seaway 5 to 2 to 8 to 1, sort of 15 minutes before a Metropolitan Sydney race where the market's been out for 5 days. The places where I bet, which is sort of even more volatile, country, provincial, New South Wales, markets can, you could have 3 4 to 1 favourites morning of. They can start 20s, 6 to 4 and 5 to 2, and 10s or something. It's crazy the shifts in the markets, and
you've got to have an idea about the form. Obviously,
it is fairly like if you had a gun to your head and you could have sort of said up down, you can sort of work it out definitely by form. The problem is that it's so volatile. You can't be upset with yourself if you take the wrong price. Is kind of where I'm saying. And if you're happy if your opinion's better than the market, and you're going to back them on the way out or whatever, you're going to average out. But you can't be angry if one goes off. You can't be angry if one blows, because the market's never been more volatile for mine. Definitely, what you're saying is put a more paramount. If you think your horse maps perfectly with the right jockey, a good fitness base, everything, it's probably going to firm. So if you're happy with the price that it currently is, maybe have a little bit more on it at that
or
price.
Or have party stake on it.
Yeah. So in case you're like 50-50 late, you might throw 75 on early when it's got everything in its favour on paper. And whereas if it's a horse that you think's a little bit risky, might get back, and the reason why you like it is because you're expecting them to go a little bit quicker than maybe everyone else is, there's every chance you're going to get a better price that late. If it needs things to go its way, there's every chance that horse is going to be soft in the market, and you might be better off waiting.
And respect the market, especially late.
Yeah.
In betting, in the official betting, and also the exchange. I mean, don't discount that.
Don't discount it. That's right. Unless it makes sense to you. The worst one in the world is the one that says, okay, we've got Hugh Bowman on from gate 4. It's going to lob one out, one back. The track's perfect for it. It's got everything. It's one last start, and then it's out the gate. Then there's alarm bells. The one that looks too good to be true on paper and gets out, they're the ones you've got to be scared of. If you're expecting that things have to go right, and maybe you're taking the risk on a less than name jockey or something like that, then it makes sense. I'd be less worried about a bit of a drift. But when everything ticks all the boxes and still drifts, that's when, to me, alarm bells ring.
And also when there's a significant premium on the fair to the actual fixed odds. So once that gets beyond a certain gap, it might be 25 or 30%.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what's going on. There's something going on.
There's something going on. You've got to respect that.
Yep.
Okay, so next one's Peter sent through a couple of questions or a number of parts here on email.
Whoa, these are good questions.
These are good questions.
It took them a year to give them to us, but it's good. They've had plenty of time, but they've come with good questions.
From a lifestyles perspective, what are some of the benefits and negatives of being a full-time punter, and how do you balance the profession with the rigours of family life? John, you want to go first?
Well, I've got a new addition. So what is he? He's born in January. I don't even know what month it is. What is it, August? So he's like 7 or 8 months or whatever he is, the lunatic. I work from home, so it's not too bad. It's probably great for me that I've got that outlet if I ever want to if I'm ready to kill someone or hide in the cupboard or whatever, I just sort of duck upstairs and everything's okay. It would be hard to be working from an office and have the two lunatics at home, especially with the stress and everything that goes along with these. Because I've got the added thing of the jockey manager stuff, which means that I've got people ringing me from some crazy ass time in the morning till whenever. So it's sort of extended for me too, but it fits in because I treat it like every day's the same for me. There is no days off.
Yeah, there is no day off.
And you kind of get used to it. It definitely is stressful, but the family life balances it because I'm there all the time, and that's basically, I don't get much time for anything else, but that's fine by me. And they definitely do. The de-stress is the family. Like once you go upstairs, it's all done or whatever. I might go up there and have a whinge for 10 seconds, and Rebecca looks at me and wouldn't have a clue what I was talking about and goes, "Oh, gee, that sounds terrible." Couldn't care less, and unless the ATM card starts bouncing. But
that's right.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's no secret formula. It's definitely a stressful lifestyle because the results are out of your control.
Is it stressful or is it just demanding?
It's demanding. It's the jockey manager stuff's a little bit probably more stressful because again, you're just trying to keep so many people happy all the time. But then you combine that with spending a lot of time on a product that has no perfect answer. So even if it's to me, because I'm sending out tips and stuff as well, markets, you can put all the care and responsibility into a race, and something happens and it's out of your control. So it does become stressful and frustrating at times, but because the upside of that is you're playing a game. To me, it's like playing rugby league. For me, it's just like, where else in the world do I get paid to do something I love doing every day? Obviously, the betting side of it has its peaks and troughs, which everyone will have. Doesn't matter how good you are.
Yep.
But I like it is a stressful game, but it's a great game. I know it's a joke. Everyone calls it the great game, but it really is. And 99% of it's still good.
The benefits are obviously you've got control over what you're doing.
Yes.
And we do get to become involved with a great sport and a great pastime.
Yeah, and most of the participants are really interesting people too. Yeah, they are.
And there's so many different opinions, and you never stop learning. I mean, at no stage do you stop learning.
Well, look at the two of us. We're total probably polar opposites about how we approach racing. But we could probably talk for a week about racing, about anything, you know what I mean? It doesn't, and that's how everyone comes together, and that's the beauty of it. I always laugh when I'm talking to trainers or whatever, offer you money for something. I don't even want, I would do most things in this industry for free because I love it, whether they're sort of asking about horses in their stable to sack or whatever. I just like doing that. I like interrogating it, looking at the horses and trying to work out the puzzle of the whole industry, and really the only two stressful parts are the race itself, and probably getting on's a little bit more stressful than it ever has been.
Harder, sure.
But other than that, far out, it's a pretty cool sport.
It's a good existence.
Yeah, it is, and we're both probably in as good a position as most to benefit from it, and that's a good position as well. So I've got no real reason to bitch, even though I probably do it for 7 or 8 hours a day.
So what's your day look like? Mine starts about 5:30, 6 o'clock at the latest. I'm in the
now
office.
That I'm a fitness fanatic, mate, straight to F45. Thank you to one of the actual Racing Watch guys who got me onto it. But no, that it has helped me get it. I used to struggle because I go to bed quite late. At least now, adding that to the routine sort of knocks me out a bit earlier because my brain was sort of overactive from doing all this. I'd struggle to go to bed early enough to function early enough, like you're talking about. So now I might be knocked out by 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. I'm up about that same sort of time, and at least
to the gym.
I'm around. Yeah, well, yeah, and then I'm sort of back by scratchings. I like to be in the office and ready to go by scratching time at the latest, because I do a lot of work for the night before.
Yep.
And then it's a bit of a waste of time to be trying to fine tune anything before I know what the final fields are going to look like.
But you're sort of putting in, I'm guessing that you're sort of similar to me. I mean, it's 12, 14 hour a day stuff.
Yeah, easily. So I would, easily. I'm in the dungeon for at least that. It's just you're either there or upstairs, dinner, back. It's definitely not constant, but it's well, you've got to be. Especially you're the same. You can't let your subscribers to the ratings win or whatever. You've got to double check over everything all the time. You can't afford to have a lapse. So,
but it's fair to say that I think the thing that it's structured is important. Having a process.
Yeah, regardless of where you do, as long as you continue. Yeah, exactly, absolutely.
Yeah, doing the same things all the time.
Yeah.
With regularity.
Yeah.
Now, Peter wants to know from you, John, what do you do to decrease stress and increase your performance?
You've really got to write down, for me. Most of this game's mental for me, especially for someone who does things more manually than someone who doesn't. So your brain is probably your biggest hurdle. If you start losing your mind thinking, when you're having some ordinary results or whatever, things are not going your way, if you start trying to rebrand everything you do and reprise it all, you'll go mad. So to me, you've just got to have a few things that list, like it's really simple, it's the racing's, the more you complicate it, for me, the harder it becomes and the worse your performance becomes. So to me, it's just really trying to let go and things that help me de-stress and basically do help my performance, because that's all it is. As long as I let everything go at the end of the day, at the end of the race, whatever it is, which is not as easy as it seems all the time. No, you can't, but it's hard to convince yourself of that sometimes, and whether it takes it might take a day or two, or you really have to just get away from it for a day or two once every now and then. Like, I'll still do the form, but I'm talking about sort of betting or anything like that. That's probably the worst case scenario for me. Other than that, I just, like as it's saying, spending some time with the little lunatics and really understanding that there's more to life and it's not that bad, whatever's happened. And if it is that bad, your approach is horrific. If you've put yourself in a position that 1 or 2 races or 1 or 2 days has got you under pressure, in a manner that's making you rethink everything you're doing. There's a problem in your approach.
He's wanting to know about what's the difference between natural variance and a change in your approach. I mean, for me,
so I should have read ahead, but
I don't change my approach.
Then you're saying that. See, this is easy for you and I to say, because I don't think I'm like this stupid looking racing watcher I've been going since 2007. So we're 12 years into building an approach, if you know what I mean. And I'm sure you're probably double that, maybe. You know what I mean?
You're still looking to look. I mean, okay, so
you're looking to run different things and improve all the time. But your core of your business,
the core state,
it hasn't come from the last 6 weeks. It's come from years and years and years of
the fundamentals of racing don't really change all that much.
No,
it's how you weight them and how you order them. So for me, my time to reflect in terms of what I'm doing and how I can make things better is January. I take January off and go away with the family. We sit on the beach for a few weeks, and I come back. And that last 2 weeks of January is you still got to work. You still got to take work here. But that last couple of weeks of January is really focusing on reading and researching and doing all those things that I'm trying to do.
Talk to you about before we started this, which is more the state of the industry, is to me where I can improve more than my approach, because I think my niche is my niche. The way I sort of approach things, I don't think a lot of people do, and that's kind of why I can continue to work as I have. Sort of like to me, it's happened sort of 10, 12, 15 years. How old am I? I don't know, whatever it is. It's more ways to make money using that information. So maximising even the products, like whatever I send out to the guys who follow my stuff, making sure that I'm trying to stay on top of the best information I can send them for them to make money off it. More, and for the same for myself, if I'm betting, it's more, that's the landscape that's changing to me more than the approach of finding the answers. I think that's pretty consistent. It's just now like it's exotics have shrunk. It's harder to win at them or whatever it is. Like
there's
those
no
sorts
doubt.
of things. So you've got to move away from that. But there's new products introduced by, like odds and evens. Like, there's got to be an earn there somewhere, isn't there?
I haven't looked, John.
That's probably a bad example, but to me, it's just more about keeping your finger on the pulse, like you're saying, researching the whole industry and making sure that you're not missing something. Like in-play betting, Betfair now going to Hong Kong. Yep. There's all sorts of things that you're just all the work you're doing, but not maximising your return from it, and that's probably where I need to concentrate more than actually the approach or ever changing it, because I don't think. There might be a little tinker here or there, but that it's not the process. It's how to maximise your return from your end result that you're producing.
Yeah. So for me, it's just looking at the coefficients that make up the process, the model, call it whatever you like, and looking at how they're weighted, and looking at the way in which the market is reacting to different aspects of the form. Yeah. And seeing how that value changes over time, because it does. I mean, nothing stays the same for very long.
Yeah, and if someone's overweighting something that is naturally in your system, I guess you pick that up. And then also, I guess you've got to make sure you're ahead of them as much as you can be. I know your jockey ratings and things are really dynamic, and that's probably something that a lot of people don't use.
Well, all the data that we use in the database is dynamic.
Yeah, so so you're going to be in front of a lot of people. And it might be something funny as that, like someone might be overweighting jockeys. That might boost your return because yours is dynamic, whereas theirs is possibly static. It's quite interesting. I love thinking about it from your perspective. I just don't trust. I'm not a trusting person. I just have to see everything with my own eyes.
You're conditioned to approaching a race the way you are, and you've been doing it.
Yeah. If someone says to me, I've got this $2.50, my natural answer question is why? You know what I mean? And it's always like, I know that there's a lot of work goes into why you come up with $2.50, but the way I was schooled up, they go, well, this is why. So it's hard for me to think of it from another perspective.
You can't be that fixed that your price is always right. You've got to be flexible.
Of course.
You've got to be nimble.
But if someone tips your horse, you know what I mean? I want to know why, naturally. That's what I want. I don't really care where it came from. I just want to know why, you know what I mean? It's just, curious. But and that's how you learn too, obviously. Yeah, that's how you learn. For sure.
So another question, part of Peter's question is, what are the common personality traits amongst or contribute to a winning punter? Diligence, hard work.
Yeah,
you've got to be.
I've seen them all, to be honest. I've seen them all, and again, we're great. We probably spend similar time, but on totally different things, and that's kind of the way it all works. But, there's not too many people that are gifted with the ability to win. Without working hard, that's for sure.
No, I think working hard is one of the major attributes, and I don't think that John or I possess any special skills that can't be learnt.
No, that's right. Everything can be worked on, and the ones that come and go are the volatile people. There's no doubt about that. The people who want to overbet, the people who want to blow up mentally after a bad beat or something like that. It's probably more like when you're saying personality traits, that the winning, you can be either like I'm a pretty volatile person. Like I'm not, I'm pretty hyperactive and that sort of thing. And I've had to learn to be more restrained in betting manners and things like that. It's not as if anything can't be worked through, but the ones that I've seen come and go are certainly the ones who think there's a magic formula, and they think that when they think something's immoral, it can't get beat. And they can all get beat.
Oh, they do, and they do.
And they can all get beat, and that's kind of what, to me. I don't honestly. It sounds silly, but I don't think it's hard to win at racing. But you've got to be consistent in your approach. You've got to work hard. You've got to be on top of everything, and cross your T's and dot your I's all the time. Because if you take your eye off the ball, it'll cost you.
Yeah, laziness will be punished in this game.
It will be, because even you get punished if you're not. You know what I mean? So you've got to really try and put everything in your favour as much as you can, and keep it that way.
Okay, so last question from Alex on Twitter. Can you win with these days, or without doing any form, or just following the money on Betfair? I'm going to say I don't think so.
Yeah, I know what he's saying, but I think that to me was more when you get a guide. So say it was going off on Betfair, and so all of a sudden it lined up at $5, and you were quick enough to beat the corporates or the on-course bookies and snipe the price. Is that kind of what it is? Or, because you can't use it as a guide.
Look, if you don't necessarily have to do the form. If you're not doing the form yourself, you need to have a good service. John's got a service. There's lots of services out there.
Yeah, you've got to have a base to work off because
you need to.
How do you use Betfair as a guide if you don't know what you're looking at? Like, so I look at a race. I'm like, everything's in my mind. Like a race caller might be, you know what I mean? The colours or whatever they've used. I expect this horse to be there. If it's there, I expect it to do this. It's kind of all in your brain, you know, when you're looking at the market. And then when things change, all of a sudden you go, oh, hang on. Say, for argument's sake, on Saturday, that race, Seaway. Okay, Seaway's looking like someone's expecting it not to run to its true potential. That changes the race. And that kind of, to me, like what showed with the betting moves in that race. So, you know, and now it's thrown on its head. So what do you do? Do you bail on that race? But that's what I mean. If you don't have an opinion, you don't know, you know. Or what do you do then?
Do you think that Seaway is now a value bet because it's
that's right? You don't,
out? Or do you respect the money and say, well,
so if you've got no form, even if it's just a price, like what you're saying, like you're betting, if you've got an opinion that this horse should be $3.50 and now it's $8, yeah, it's still, to me, if you don't have an opinion to go with that, it's very hard to use Betfair as a guide. And I think the days are long gone of sniping overs to Betfair.
The arbitrage, I don't think, is an option anymore.
No. They're too fast. They're too fast. And the problem is, you can get off one or get on one. The next one you missed, you know, like you might have been able to get on 80% of them before. You were too fast. Now you might get on 20 or 30. How do you win?
And the other thing too is, I mean, we're excluding traders here, so we're not talking about people who are just
doing it for their life,
buy and sell in the marketplace and trying to get a small earn. I'm assuming you're talking, Alex, about someone who's making profits from their betting. You know, from
I know people who bet on Betfair a lot and don't do a lot of form, but they still do some form and have a base to it and kind of understand. So even if it's as simple as we were talking about before, getting some quality maps and trying to even highlight 3 or 4 runners that you think are going to be in good spots, and the ones that are firm, Betfair may be late, they're the ones that you like. That it could be that easy. You might be able to win at that. I don't know, but you need something. I don't think you can do it blind, Freddie. You can't do it with the blindfold on.
No, I don't think so either.
No.
Alex, that's your question answered, I think.
Yep.
That's it for this week. So don't forget to get your questions in. Certainly been a bit of content.
Yeah, they're really good questions. I actually wasn't. I didn't. You sprung them on me, but they were good to answer because they're good fun and they're basically all what racing's about. I like the personality ones. Everyone's different, you know, but the basis to form for me, and they'll still go back to the ratings, you know, guys and the guys who use things that are generated. They're all the principles in behind are pretty similar, and you know, hard work's the difference between winning or losing for mine. So they're good questions, and I really want to get into, you know, different ways to win. I think.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that as we evolve.
And if anyone's got different, like, it'd just be interesting because I don't want the secrets to. Yeah, I don't want to seek secrets to how you do it, but. Different ways to earn money in racing now, like in betting markets, is interesting. I don't nothing like free bet robbers or things like that. I don't think that's really sustainable. But if anyone's got any different angles or things that they use now, I'd love to hear because it's very interesting to me.
Indeed. Okay, catch you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.